Hello everyone, today I will be presenting my end of semester presentation. So the first thing is my formal article. My formal article was about women's basketball. All the pictures in this I took by myself of the JU women's basketball team. But I titled my formal article, Women Changing the Face of Basketball One Hoop at a Time. Women's basketball is a hot topic right now, not only in the sports industry, but in the media. For the first time, we're seeing women's college athletes rise to stardom. Women's basketball has been overshadowed by its male counterparts for far too long. Superstars like Angel Reese from LSU, Caitlin Clark from Iowa, Camilo Cardoso, a center for the 2024 champions from the South Carolina Gamecocks, and Paige Buchers from UConn are all women that are pioneering this new era of women's basketball. The first quarter, otherwise known as women's history in basketball. So women have been playing basketball since the late 1800s. This is a remarkable thing for women to do in a time where women who played sports were deemed unladylike. On the court, women were made to wear dresses that started under their chin and ended at the floor, and playing any sport in a dress is a sport within itself. Many limitations were placed on women because they were seen as fragile and weak. Until Title IX was passed, this is when we started seeing some equity within the sports industry, especially for schools. So when Title IX was passed, it ensured equity within the education system, and it's had an immense impact on school sports from kindergarten to college. Women's sports were given little to no support prior to Title IX, but after Title IX is when we began to see young women become elite athletes. One of the first teams to gain national traction for women's basketball was UConn, with 11 national titles. This proved to the world that women can play sports at a distinguished level. The Angel Reese effect. So on the side, you'll see here I have some stats kind of playing on that basketball theme. Just some things she's done already this year and the past season. And then we have heard the last point is the Bayou Barbie. Just kind of like playing on to how she's at Louisiana State and just being this feminine basketball girl, which we haven't seen in the media. And we'll kind of get into that now. So the Louisiana State forward led her team to the national title for 2023. During that season, the 6'3" junior rose to fame after a video of her walking away from a physical altercation between her team and the South Carolina Gamecocks went viral. She responded on X the next day saying, quote, "As a person of my status, you have to walk away from certain situations," end quote. This is when viewers began to take a liking to Angel. She was known as a trash talker who could prove herself on the court, a bubbly basketball girly girl. This was new for viral viewers when basketball girls have always had a tomboy reputation, except this brought more attention to Reese. She oozes of pure feminine confidence, batting her eyelash extensions, strutting on anyone's court as she dominates her way into tough baskets. This attitude landed the 21-year-old star many brand deals and modeling opportunities amid her successful basketball career. She worked with brands like Mercedes-Benz, Wingstop, and even Coach. She's posed for Sports Illustration, and when Shaquille O'Neal became the president of Reebok Basketball, Angel Reese was the first person he signed. The biggest takeaway I want people to know is that you can be a girly girl off the court and still have swag and just be who you are, end quote. She's changing the culture of women's basketball. Before, we haven't seen women just being just their true feminine selves, and even if they were just kind of deemed as being more masculine because they were in a sports where men dominated. Caitlin Clark, the catalyst. Quote, "The spotlight she has put on this sport is amazing." Jasmine McWilliams, Northwestern team captain. Going to the Elite Eight, Final Four, all that last year was first of all great for the Big Ten and showcasing how great our teams are, but also just showing how great women's basketball is. The fact that she's selling out all these stadiums everywhere she goes is amazing, end quote. When you Google women's basketball, the first thing you see is Caitlin Clark's name and her face. The recent success of women's basketball has been attributed to Caitlin. Once she surpassed Kelsey Plum's two-time championship record, she became the number one career scorer in the NCAA women's history. The NCAA reports that she is the first Division I player to top 3,000 points, 1,000 assists, and 800 rebounds. She has over 59 games with at least 25 points, 5 assists, and 5 rebounds. Since Caitlin Clark has been in college, no other player has had such a record-setting season. Notable athletes and celebrities have joined the women's basketball space to show their admiration of Caitlin Clark, like WNBA legend Sue Bird, First Lady Jill Biden, NFL quarterback Patrick Mahomes, and NBA superstar Steph Curry. After losing her second consecutive championship game, Clark was the WNBA draft first pick by the Indiana Fever. She's putting women's basketball in conversations where they have never been before. To think that 5 years ago, most people wouldn't be able to name a single female college athlete, to now having Caitlin Clark as a household name. She has been the catalyst of the breakthrough of women's sports in the athletic sphere. Here we have Coach Dawn Staley. She is the head coach for the South Carolina Gamecocks. She's also a 3-time Olympic gold medalist and a 1-time gold medalist as a head coach. She has been coaching the Gamecocks since 2008. After competing this past 2024 season, she has made Black history. She's the first Black coach to have led her team to 3 NCAA championships. Staley is also the first Black person to lead her team to a perfect record in Division I history. The victory against Iowa was the perfect revenge after losing last season in the Final Four against Iowa, denying Caitlin Clark of what would have been her first and only championship win. Kate College, a South Carolina alumni, says, "The way Dawn coaches her team, the way they play, it shows they have tenacity. They overcome adversity in raising girls. It's a hugely important part that they understand. It's a part of who they are, just as much as boys, who are being raised to play sports too." End quote. Dawn Staley was a legacy of encouraging women and athletes to support their platforms and speak for what they believe in. The last quarter, Q4, I just wanted to highlight some of the statistics right now in women's basketball. In 2022, over 4 million people watched the NCAA Women's Basketball Championship. That same year, 8.6 million people watched the Men's Basketball Championship game. This year, over 18 million people watched the Women's Championship game. The men's only received 7 million views. There's research that also shows that the fan base for women's college basketball has increased by 50%. The 2024 NBA draft, WNBA draft that just passed, was the most anticipated draft in WNBA history. It was also the most viewed WNBA draft after coming in at 2.45 million views. That is 4 times the amount of last year's draft. That is also more than the last 7 drafts combined. This WNBA draft performed better than the MLB's draft and the NHL draft. The draft also has had its largest in-person audience after this 2024 draft. People want to watch women's basketball now more than ever. Long lines are snaking around arenas to watch these players make record-breaking history. Viewers have always shown preference towards the male sports, but that is beginning to change. The new age of women's basketball is trailblazing a new legacy for all women's sports. Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark, Dawn Staley are just a fraction of all the women making women's basketball history, while they inspire young girls across the globe. And lastly, if you want to see the full article, you can go on my WordPress. Here is all my sources for that. I really just wanted to highlight that women's basketball is really taking off. And it's really nice to see because women's basketball games, especially even at JU, are free. But the men's game you'll have to pay for. Obviously, students are excluded from those costs. But it's just minor details like that. And we're seeing things like that change as women are really taking over the basketball courts. Part 2 is all about my journey as a writer for social media and WordPress. The lessons I've learned. Revise your work after taking some time away from the computer. this has been the thing I've realized the most. I would always kind of just revise my work in the moment, but that's not when I see my mistakes. I see it best after I've taken a day or a couple hours away from the computer, away from writing, and then I see all just like the grammar mistakes, or like just I may have meant to put a different word, or maybe I put like captain instead of caption, but I always see those after I took time away from my computer. The importance of LinkedIn is also something I've learned. I've always thought that was just like a thing for older people, but I think it's a really important tool that I can utilize in shaping my future. And the power of a caption. In my internship, I worked for a sports team, and I really struggled with captions, but this class has made me really realize like captions, you need to put just as much effort into them, just like a paper or an article. You want to look up hashtags. You want to think that what makes the most sense for your caption. My best work, I did one for written and visual. So I think my best piece of work written wise was the LinkedIn article. I wrote about internships within the sports industry. I was also kind of stuck between my formal article and my LinkedIn article, but I just think that I was really able to use my experience in the work field with my Sharks internship to really back up my claims as a writer in my LinkedIn article, which for me made it just stand out more. Next, I have visually. I think for my 5 fast facts, which I have 2 pictures of, I really was able to just kind of grasp the viewer's attention. I think visually, the pictures I had to back up both of these were really just helped tell the story of the 5 fast facts about the Jacksonville Sharks and arena football. And my Nashville trip, I took a picture of all the artwork I saw, and I made 5 points. It was more like the bullet point style on this one, and it was very easy just to convey to the reader my experience with Nashville's art. Next is my favorite quote. My favorite quote that I read from Anne Hanley's book, Everybody Writes, is, "The truth is, writing well is part habit, part knowledge of fundamental rules, and part giving a damn." I really resonated with this because building habits in writing is very important, just like in the beginning of the semester when Dr. Willette had us delete some of those words out of our paper. That's creating a habit, because now I had to go back and delete all those words. I'm not going to want to put them back into my paper, even though maybe I did a time or two. But it's just creating habits, and it helps you become a better writer. Knowing the fundamental rules of just like grammar or just writing for media, knowing those fundamental rules are very important. And just really caring about what you're writing. When you care about what you're writing, when you're more passionate about what you're writing, it makes you a better writer. And that's what I found for me, especially I'm a better writer when I care about what I'm writing. And especially now that we're going to move on and get jobs and stuff, I think it's important to just write like you care. Next, what I'll take with me, I think what I'll take with me the most is WordPress. I've always really wanted to make a good, thorough portfolio, and now with WordPress, I already have a good start with what I have now, but I really want to expand it and include my photography and videography that I've done for different sports teams. I think I can really utilize my WordPress skills and also take them over to LinkedIn and just kind of make that just another expansion of my brand. And that is what I'm going to take with me. And that is my presentation. I know it was a little long. I'm sorry, guys, but I appreciate you all and thank you for listening.